today we're going to change the front struts and the back shocks on the 07 Saturn. It's got probably 100,000 on these struts and shocks. The car has like 360,000. So anyway, I'm John, and this is Out of Order Garage. Thanks for tuning in. All right, we got it all jacked up. We're going to change the entire strut. We're going to use a quick strut, which is a strut, a spring, and the upper bearing all in one. So if you look over here, there's a bolt, 2 nuts, and that's all that holds the strut to the strut tower. And if we go in here, got these 2 big bolts. This bolt is cammed. That's how the alignment's set, so we'll mark this bolt. This bolt doesn't spin except for when you're aligning it, and you hold it in one spot. Once the alignment's set, and tighten the nut. Take that little bolt off for that bracket and take the sway bar link off, and that's it. We'll be able to change that strut using a 5mm hex socket and an 18mm box wrench. Now these are aftermarket sway bar links, so the size in here for the hex was different than the original ones. I forget what the original ones were, so we got to take those off. 22mm for these. You get the idea. Before we knock those bolts out, we marked them so we could get them back the same way. Kind of hard to see, but we'll knock the bolts out from the other end with the brass hammer. Even though I'm using a brass hammer, I still put the nut on there to protect the threads. Just like that. I'll have to hold this out of the way to get to the other one. So let me do that. I need 2 hands. The one top screw is a 10. 2 bolts are 13. So we'll get all that stuff off. With the bolts out, the strut just falls away from the shock tower, and then it's all undone under here. So we have to pull that one bolt out, and then we'll muscle the strut out, and I'll show you when we get it out. There we go, 1 strut. All right, we'll get the other one and put it in. Just a reverse of the process of removing it. So we're using Monroe quick struts, 27 218 and 27 217. They're usually about 125 a piece, I think, off of Rock Auto. I got these on sale for, I think, 68 bucks a piece. It was pretty cheap. So 27 217 is the passenger side, 218 is the driver's side. Now let's get this one in place. Comes with new nuts and a new bolt, so comes with new hardware, use new hardware. All right, we lifted it in place and put a couple nuts on loosely. We're just gonna push this and slide it in there. And put our bolts in, line them up like we did with the marks, and screw it together. Don't rely on the nut to pull the splines in. Seat them with the hammer. Put a jack under the control arm, pick the assembly up a bit. That will seat the strut. all the way in this tower, and you can tighten these bolts. All right, with the bolt speed in, just tighten them up. Tighten the other one, and then put the bolt in for that brake hose bracket, and we'll be done. Almost done. Put that back in there. It's just the reverse of how we removed it. So that will complete strut on one side, and we'll do the other side. We won't really film that. It's exactly the same thing, just on the other side. We're going to replace the outer tie rod ends. Get the nut off the bottom. We're going to split it with the pickle fork. We have to hold that hex section with an open end wrench and break that nut loose. So then we'll pop this off, hold that with the open end wrench, unscrew this, put the new one on, put it back together. Because we've got new struts and new outer tie rod ends, we'll have to send it in for an alignment after we're done. So after taking the nut off the bottom, drive a pickle fork in there. And it's out. Just unscrew that, screw the new one on, match it up exactly. Don't move that jam nut. It should be close enough to drive it to the alignment shop. 365 971. New front struts, new outer tie rod ends. We got these Monroe 911 258 shocks. They said they're designed for trucks and vehicles with high center of gravity. So we'll give them a try. This has a high center of gravity, I guess. Last time I used KYBs, but we'll try these this time. Got this Braun 250 light from Harbor Freight. See how it works. Well, it's pretty bright. All right, we'll see how it works under the car. Well, it's got a hook, and a sort of tripod base, and also magnetic, so that's pretty neat. All right, we'll give it a try. Well, that seems to work well. I can see everything. There's our exhaust that we put on a couple episodes ago. Yeah, I remember this from last time. To get to the bolt on the upper part of the shock, you gotta take this inner fender out. We're going to use these panel clip pliers. Just there's one right there. You just pull the center part out with the pliers, and then the whole thing comes out. You don't have to take them all out, just a few, until you get to that bolt back there. You can leave the rest of it in. There's the old and the new shocks compared. Old one's KYB, new ones are Monroe. Now we're off to Big Ed's Tire in Leonardtown for front end alignment. They were able to get me in pretty quick. While we were there, they noticed that the rear camber and toe end were messed up, so they had to get and put a camber kit in the back. They were able to do all that in just 2.5 hours, start to finish, front and rear end alignment. I get all my tires and everything from those guys as well, so if you're in the area, check them out. You will not be disappointed. Great service, nice guys, good prices, and your money is going to a local business. Thanks for watching, folks. We will see everybody on the next one.